From delivering that devastating KO at UFC 278 to cementing his place as the welterweight king in the rematch at UFC 286, Leon Edwards is amazing, and his next fight's definitely gonna be worth the watch, starting with how he actually got here.
Oh! Cowboy ate that well and pushes forward.
Even registered.
Look at that, good work by Leon Edwards, winning the battle of the balance.
Good finish there, though. He lifted the leg, but couldn't secure position.
Leon "Rocky" Edwards is a guy that fought his way to the title with no help whatsoever from the promotion. Yeah, he wasn't one of the lucky stars that got the Dana White privilege. The man lost to Usman near the start of the ex-welterweight king's incredible run in the division, and ever since then, he's been largely ignored and neglected by the fans. The guy literally went undefeated for years, and he was still never in the conversation for a title fight. Luckily for all of us, though, Leon's not a quitter, and he kept on destroying whoever the UFC put in front of him. Eventually, at UFC 278 in 2022, he faced off against a seemingly unbeatable Kamaru Usman.
In those close ranges. Oh, beautiful takedown there by Usman. Beautiful timing, scramble.
No one thought he was going to win, and to be fair, he was losing on every single metric by the 5th round of the fight. Still, as I said, this man's not a quitter. He dug deep and let loose an insane combination in the final moments of the 5th round, and he put Usman to sleep via head kick KO. Now, this was back in 2022, as I've already mentioned, and given how dominant Usman was in the fight, and just in general as the champ, it's no surprise he got the immediate rematch. But once again at UFC 286, it was Leon who got his hand raised. Rocky once again silenced all the haters. Everyone who was insistent that he only won because of a lucky kick now has to watch as he retains the welterweight title. This man did something that just last year was considered impossible. He beat the Nigerian Nightmare. Not only that, but he did it twice. Also, I know a lot of fans are crying foul, and a bunch of you probably think that this was a robbery. But I've got to say, guys, as much as I like Kamaru, the numbers don't lie. Usman was definitely not the same fighter in this fight as the last one. Knockouts make the best of fighters become hesitant to attack, and that's exactly what we saw from the Nigerian. He was much less active in this match than the last, and Leon was simply fantastic. Yup, Rocky kept the former champ working all night with his takedown defense, and on the feet, he far outpaced Usman. He threw 120 significant strikes to Kamaru's 80, and of the two, Leon was way more accurate. Also, just in case you're wondering, yes, Usman definitely threw fewer punches this time around than in that last fight. It's like I said, the guy was hesitant to let his hands go and leave his head unprotected. Whether you like Rocky or not, he won, and he dismantled his opponent under the highest stress conditions ever. And the entertainment didn't stop with the fight.
Very close. Trevor Whitman calling for Kamaru to run it and close the distance. Don't load up on the shot.
Now it's broken. All right, he's got 4 minutes to try to wrest away this title.
He's got him down for a second.
He gets a takedown here.
That's a takedown, 4th of the fight for Usman.
No, right afterward, Dana announced who was next. And this is a big deal because when Dana announces a fight, it happens. The UFC head honcho congratulated Edwards and declared that the next fight that made sense was him versus Colby Covington. Now, this was entertaining enough on its own, but what happened next was shocking. Leon took to the stage at his post-fight interview and flat out went against what Dana said. Wow, that takes guts. Edwards went over how he didn't understand at all how this fight made any sense, and that since he was the champ, he should decide. And honestly, whether or not Colby makes sense as the next fight, it's definitely true that as the champ, Leon has earned the right to choose. Before I get into what I think about Covington's shot at Leon, I've got to go over the guy's reaction to the fight itself. Chaos was absolutely ecstatic. Yeah, and it makes sense, right? I mean, after all, Usman's the guy that beat him twice and broke his jaw. Why wouldn't he be happy to see his rival lose?
You gotta catch him in the middle of an exchange. Whenever his hands are up and he's not prepared for you to change levels. He's gonna have to drop to a single leg. There it is. Now he's got the single. Now he's got.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Still, as much sense as his happiness makes, the fans noted something deeper than just bad blood that may have been causing the reaction. That's right, now that Usman's lost for the second time, he's out of the title picture, at least for now. And guess what that means? Covington's back in. In fact, that's exactly what Dana showed us all by confirming Chaos as the next challenger to the welterweight throne. But does he really deserve the shot, or is Leon right? Well, it's complicated to say the least. As far as Leon's point of view is concerned, it's true that Colby hasn't really done much recently to warrant a title shot. The guy's 2-2 in his last 4 fights, and both of those losses were title fights against Usman. I mean, this man's had plenty of chances, and he's never been able to make it happen. So now that Usman's been beaten, it doesn't really make any sense for the next title shot to go to Colby again.
Muhammad Ali and now Colby Covington. What do all those have in common? Legends, icons, Hall of Fame.
There are other guys in the division who've been much more active than Chaos. Look at Gilbert Burns or even Khamzat. Never mind these two though. Even Shavkat Rakhmonov seems to have a stronger claim than Colby. No matter how good the guy is, he's only beaten one of the current top 15 welterweights, Masvidal, and for Leon to imply that he needs to do a little bit more for him to get a shot makes perfect sense. Honestly, a fight between Dorino and Covington would make more sense right now than Covington and Edwards. But guys, no matter how dumb this matchup sounds, you've got to consider Colby's record.
Time! That's it.
So that is it. Perhaps a rib injury for Tyron. Oh, nothing quite like it. Woodley takedown attempt for Covington, and he grounds Woodley. Good.
He's the only one to ever come close to beating Usman prior to Leon, and he did it twice. Now, granted, the guy didn't win, but honestly, both of those wins were split decisions, and if the judges had scored it for Chaos, it would have still made sense. Both fights were absolute wars, and Colby definitely pushed Usman to the limit. Not only did he take the guy down, but he also fought back pretty well on the canvas and on the feet. Plus, despite the fact that he lost, he displayed his insane durability and cardio in both of his matches against the Nigerian Nightmare. Considering how good he was against Usman, would he actually have a chance against Leon? Well, this is exactly why the UFC wants to throw him at Leon next, because the answer is yes. Not only would he have a pretty good chance, but it's also actually likely that he'd be able to win. And sure, it's true that he probably doesn't deserve the title shot as things stand now, but hey, when has that ever stopped the UFC before? The fight's gonna happen, and despite the fact that he hasn't beaten anyone other than Masvidal in the current top 15, Chaos is still better than anyone else in the division, and the UFC can't afford to use him as a gatekeeper because he'd just never lose. It's no surprise that they can't afford this guy to derail all the current hype trains like Khamzat and Rakhmonov. In any case, I'd say Usman and Covington are about evenly matched, and considering that he wouldn't be facing any of the mental stress that Usman was, it's pretty likely we'd get to see something like the domination Usman showed in the second fight. You have to remember, Chaos hasn't been brutally KO'd by Leon. Plus, he's been trying and failing to win the title for years.
Nice takedown attempt by Colby. Colby's corner is...
Derek Cleary had a 3-1 for Usman.
The champion, but Colby landed a couple of good shots. Good left hand by Colby.
You can bet it's gonna be war. It definitely won't be an easy victory, but I've gotta say, it's a very real possibility that we're gonna see this man finally get his hands on the belt. Well, that was a breakdown of why Leon's next fight will be insanely exciting.